Hey everyone, Zephyr here, and welcome to my channel. Today we are building a house for my legacy family in The Sims 2. I'm going to be talking a little bit about the family during this speed build, so if you haven't watched the latest episode, I definitely recommend going and doing that before listening to this voiceover because there will be spoilers, and if you care about that, I thought I'd give you a little bit of a warning. I guess I'm going to start from the beginning. I'm going to give you a very quick overview of this family. The challenge started off with me creating my founder. His name is Eric Elmley. Well, Eric is a family sim. You know how family sims are. They want to, create big families, spend time with their families. He's kind of wholesome, except for the fact that his lifetime want is to be a cop. But hey, I don't know, the politics and the systematic issues happening in, Sim cities, so maybe I shouldn't judge him too harshly for the lifetime want. I shouldn't, impose, real world things onto my sims, so we'll move past that. But the policing career wasn't immediately available in the newspapers, so Eric went on to be an adventurer for a bit. And I've said that before, but I imagine that as kind of like Eric's Indiana Jones moment. He did really good in the career. He got a ton of promotions, but that wasn't his calling. So he eventually got the opportunity to apply to the police force, and he got accepted because every sim gets accepted into the police force in The Sims 2, which probably says a lot about their, system they have going, but I digress. I won't get into it. Eric is not the problem in this legacy, and there's problems in this legacy. The problem is his wife, Joy. Joy happens to be a romance sim, and if you know anything about The Sims 2, you know that romance sims are trouble. And in my game, romance sims often get paired with family sims, and that's exactly what happened in this case. What's funny is originally I wasn't gonna have Eric go for Joy because they started off with zero chemistry. In fact, I think they had negative chemistry, but he kept rolling wants to flirt with her, and I was like, you know what, it's fate, I'm gonna make it happen. And as they got to know each other, the chemistry grew, and they eventually got together, and Joy got pregnant. But unfortunately, during this time, Joy was seeing someone else, River. River's a townie who had red hair, and when Joy gave birth, she gave birth to a redheaded baby. I named him Elijah. I think Eric knew deep down that baby wasn't his, but he was kind of in a denial for a bit, Joy quickly got pregnant with their second child. That baby was also a boy. His name is Finley, and that child belonged to Eric. He, in fact, was a clone of Eric. Well, not a true clone. I figured out that it wasn't firstborn syndrome. Don't worry, I'm using the RPC launcher. But, Eric's genetics are strong. All his kids look like him, except Elijah. Elijah actually looks a lot like River. Joy's genes are not strong. I actually ended up giving Joy the secondary aspiration of family because I thought it made sense. They rolled the want to have another baby, and Joy fell pregnant again and she gave birth to another boy named Oliver, who also happened to be Eric's child. Which is kind of like a miracle because during this time, Joy had 2 or 3 other affairs. In fact, she met her current partner, Johnson, which is a fitting name for a partner of a romance sim, if you know, you know. But yeah, she met him, they hit it off pretty quickly. I thought he was a good looking townie, so I had to swoop him up, honestly. And things were going great within the legacy, kinda. I mean, Eric sort of discovered that Joy was cheating on him, which, in the back of his mind, he knew, but he got confirmation when Johnson dropped off a little gift for her after their date. So Eric confronted Joy, they kind of broke up, and at that point, the household kind of turned to turmoil. The kids were kind of getting neglected because of the parents' drama. I barely paid attention to Oliver, the baby, and eventually this led to the social worker showing up. And I thought with the social worker showing up, they were only taking away Oliver. You'll see me in the Let's Play be like, oh no, not the baby, right? And no, it was all the kids except their teenage son, Elijah. In fact, the baby's name wasn't even Oliver. Oliver was the child. He just recently turned into a child at that point, and they actually had another son called Hunter. Like, I neglected Hunter so much that I'm only just realizing now that Hunter was a thing. But yeah, that's how it went down. The social worker came and took all the kids, and now my Sims are on the mission to get them back. And you'll see kind of like where I'm going with this when I release the next episode. But basically, this house is one of the tactics they're using to get the kids back. They want to show that they're a united family front and that they are capable of raising those kids, so they decide to give their house a makeover and hopefully, you know, win their kids back. I did have to take out a loan in order to build this house. I thought I was going to have a little bit more money to work with, and I decided that I didn't want the house to be half empty, so I kind of went against typical legacy rules and let my Sims take out a loan. They should be able to pay it back fairly quickly though, so I don't feel like it's gonna be too cheaty. I made it like a 10% loan, so I think there will be a little bit of a challenge when it comes to paying it back, but like not like a crazy amount of challenge. So I feel like it's fair and not like cheating too much, you know? So that's where we're at. If you're interested in following along with this family, definitely subscribe to my channel because I post updates about them weekly, or try to anyway. Like, sometimes life gets in the way, but I do attempt to update you guys on this family as much as I can because I do love playing them. Oh, and my founder Eric did find someone new. Her name is Mary. She's a knowledge sim. I think family sims and knowledge sims are such a cute pairing, so I'm excited to see how their little future plays out too. But first, obviously, like, the main goal is to get the kids back. You cannot have a legacy family without the kids, you know? I mean, like, you could always, like, make more, but, like, I'm kind of, like, vaguely attached to the children. I want them back. Speaking of being vaguely attached to children, I had a very weird dream last night, and I feel like I want to talk about it. And sometimes when I have dreams, things kind of, like, mesh together, so I don't know if this was, like, two separate dreams or the same dream, but I'm gonna tell you the whole story like it's the same dream. From what I can remember, like, the first part of the dream isn't really notable, but I'm, like, walking down a street, I get into a, like, sort of exhibit, like, it's like a Disney exhibit for whatever reason, and it was basically, like, this cool little house where, like, each room had, like, a different Disney theme. I don't know, it sounds like a fun location, never been there, but the room I remember the most is, like, a Toy Story dedicated room. It kind of had, like, a little replica of Andy's room, and, like, there was, like, various, like, different Toy Story related things scattered around the room, and it was actually, like, a really cool experience. Like, it seems like my brain created, like, a very accurate depiction of what that kind of room would look like. The colors were right, the, like, look of the room felt right. It was cool to experience in the dream, right? But later on in the dream, it felt like the same dream to me, even though it was like a different experience. I figured out that I was pregnant. It wasn't like a case of me taking a pregnancy test in the dream. It was like me just knowing that I was pregnant in the dream. Like, sometimes you just have dreams and things are, like, already established, like, in your brain. Like, you're in a place you don't recognize, but in your head you're like, oh, I'm in New York or whatever, and it just makes sense within the dream. Well, that's what I was experiencing. Like, in my head, I knew I was pregnant. I think I had the pregnancy belly, and I knew I was pregnant with 2 twin boys. And I don't know how it happened because, like, most of the dream was a blur, but I got the opportunity to see the boys when they were grown-ups, and, like, it was, like, a picture of them at, like, a wedding, and it just made me feel so happy to see them like that. And I woke up feeling kind of sad because I miss my boys, and I was kind of wondering what that dream meant. Like, is it just my mind, like, going, hey, your biological clock is ticking, you better get to baby making, or is it, like, something deeper, you know? So I googled what being pregnant in a dream could mean, and I read something about, like, how it represents a new beginning or new creative endeavors, and I kind of want to associate that to my YouTube channel. That makes me feel a bit less sad and, in fact, happy. But the thought of the dream just being a representation of me being anxious that I'm getting older is not as good of a thought. So I'm gonna go with the second option and see it as a new beginning and as something that should make me happy and hopeful. I'm not really of the opinion that dreams mean something. I think dreams are a way of your brain's processing things at the end of the day. I don't believe every single dream has meaning, but I don't know, it's fun to think about. Most of my dreams are not coherent at all, so when I have a dream that's like semi-coherent, I want to like look into it and see what it could potentially mean. You know what I mean? One thing about me is I'm either like really into spiritual, like witchy bullshit, or I'm actually super skeptical about it. Like there's no in between. It just depends on the mood, day, hour, or minute. I can either be super cynical or I could be a believer in these things. I don't know. It just depends. It's the Gemini in me. My two like halves fighting. You know what I mean? I can apply this to like other parts of my life, like maybe drama between the Sims players, like drama between Sims 4 players and Sims 2 players. Sometimes I'm like on the Sims 2 player side where I'm like, yeah, this is the superior game. I mean, blah 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 blah. The Sims 4 could never achieve the height of greatness that the Sims 2 has reached, blah 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 blah. And then like the next day I could be like, wow, EA is incredible. I'm sorry for the Discord notification there if you heard it. But yeah, EA is incredible. I think they're doing wonders for the life simulation genre. I love all the creative new things that EA is doing with The Sims 4. I don't know, like there's no in between. I'm just indecisive, and like I can have two opposing opinions at once. That's just how my brain works. It doesn't really work like that for like actual things that matter, just like little things like that, like fandom related things or whatever. When it comes to serious issues, I have really strong opinions, so you don't have to worry about that. Oh, and something recently kind of funny happened to my family that I wanted to talk about. Now, it requires some setup, and it might be one of those like you had to be there moments, but I'm gonna try to explain it the best that I can. For the past few months, we have been plagued with this sound in our kitchen that basically sounded like a bird. Like, it sounded like a bird was in our ceiling, okay? My dad had a brilliant idea to attempt to scare away the bird. So he would take a broom handle and, like, hit it against the ceiling to try to scare the bird away, and eventually the noise stopped and the bird presumably flew away, right? This went on for like a week. He kind of affectionately referred to the bird as Tony Orlando. Tony Orlando has a song called Knock 3 Times. In the song, the singer is living above a woman that they find attractive and would like to get to know better. So the song goes, knock 3 times on the ceiling if you want me, twice on the pipe if the answer is no. And my dad was like knocking on the ceiling, so we just figured we'd call the bird Tony Orlando. And we were trying to figure out how to get rid of Tony Orlando. Like, my dad went up into the attic to see if he could find any signs of Tony Orlando, and there was no signs of any living thing up there. And, like, this sound, like, it literally sounded like it was in the ceiling, okay? Like, it didn't make any sense. Until one day where my dad decided to lay on the floor and figure out that it was actually a pipe issue. Tony Orlando was the water pump. Like, I don't know the specifics of it, but I guess our water pump is acting up. And the sound that was coming from the water pump, it sounded exactly like a bird. And it somehow sounded like it was above our heads. So, yeah, Tony Orlando was a water pump. I just, okay, you probably had to be there, but I thought it was funny. So it was a piping issue, and we didn't knock twice on the pipe, so we didn't figure out what was wrong for a very long time. Okay, fine, I'll talk about the build for a second. Since I'm playing a legacy challenge and this home is for my legacy family, I had to build the house in wintertime. There were ways I could get around this, but I wanted them to keep the original lot, so I decided to just grin and bear it and build in the wintertime. I am, however, probably going to try to get screenshots in the spring or summertime, just because I think they look better, but we'll see. My issue is I need a good thumbnail moment. I feel like everyone is kind of like over the snow vibes right now, So I don't want the thumbnail to be the house covered in snow. So I'll have to see what I can do with that. And there's another build related thing I need to get out of the way. This build is not available to download, and there's reasons for that. I'm not particularly comfortable sharing a house that Sims have already lived in, just because there's like errors and stuff that could happen in people's games. If you do that, it can cause corruption. There are ways to clean it out, I believe, but I'm just not gonna risk it. Most of my builds are available for download though, and they are on my Patreon. All my content on Patreon is completely free, and I keep forgetting to mention that you can actually join my Patreon page for free as a free member, and you'll be able to see all my posts. A few people have already done that, and I wasn't even aware that was a feature until people started doing that. I just think it's a neat feature, and maybe it's going to inspire me to use Patreon more myself, because as of right now, I only really use it for my Patreon page and the page I subscribe to, which is Watcher Entertainment. If any of you guys like want to like watch like a good YouTube channel and you've never seen them before, I highly recommend Watcher. They do ghost hunts. They have this new series where they're playing video games. Like, it's just such a cool channel. I love Shane and Ryan. I will literally follow them to the ends of the earth. So they definitely don't need my promotion here. In fact, I feel like most of you have at least heard of them, but like I love those guys so much, and I could not recommend their channel enough. So what are you guys doing in your Sims games? Like in The Sims 2, The Sims 3, or Sims 4? Tell me what you guys are doing, because like I'm looking for some ideas. I kind of want to like start my own gameplay for myself that I won't necessarily post on this channel. Like the main idea that's popping up in my head right now is to start a Sims 3 save and basically play it like that 4chan meme where like you have a normal sim, but then you have a like painting troll in your basement, and, you know, making the painting troll paint for simoleons while your sim, like, lives a normal life. I'm kind of, like, tempted to play out that, but I don't know. What are you guys doing in your Sims games? I want to start a build with City Challenge, but that will be, like, probably for this channel. I don't want to start one on my own. So I'm just looking for ideas for Sims challenges or things I could be doing in The Sims that I'm not doing already, that I could be doing on my own time. And if I get super into a save on my own, I might do like a current household for you guys, like just to kind of show you guys where I'm at with whatever challenge. I kind of want something I could play on my own time, you know? I'm just looking for the right challenge. I think that's why I'm super into Tumblr right now. Like, just looking at what other people are doing in their games is really interesting to me, so I would love to hear what you guys are doing in your games. Okay, so as I'm recording this voiceover, Little Simsy just dropped a Sims medieval video. And I just wanted to say that it makes me so happy to see a, like, larger Sims content creator focus on an older game, even just for a little bit. I like getting new people's eyes on older Sims games because it makes people realize that the older games are fun too. I feel like a lot of Sims 4 players are kind of new to the franchise and they don't really dive into the older games, so I like the older games given a little bit of love too. And guys, you know what's embarrassing? I've been telling you guys about my Bumble BFF adventures, right? Well, I told Bumble BFF Match about my YouTube channel. Like, we were talking about, like, Sims 4 YouTubers, and I decided it was a good idea to just, like, drop my username. Like, isn't that kind of cringe? I think that's kind of cringe, but also, I feel like just, like, listening to me ramble for, like, 30 seconds tells you pretty much everything you need to know about my personality and whether or not you'd want to be friends with me. So I feel like it was a good idea to share the channel, but I'm also kind of embarrassed. I don't know, I need to, like, to a degree, learn to embrace the cringe and not hide the cringe, you know? And, like, clearly people enjoy my content, so I shouldn't be, like, too embarrassed to share it, but I am anyway. Like, I'm proud of my work, and somehow embarrassed to tell people about it at the same time. Oh, that's probably the Gemini in me again. Anyway, the house ends up having 5 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, and the 2 middle children end up having to share a bedroom. I debated putting the oldest kid, Elijah, in the garage, but Storyline wise, I feel like it didn't really make any sense. I feel like they're trying to impress the social worker right now, and having your kid in a garage, you know, that doesn't really have the necessities of life, might be a little drafty, probably wouldn't be the best idea. So I decided against that, and I gave Elijah his own room. I wasn't gonna make the oldest share with his younger siblings. But who knows, we might not even get the kids back. Maybe Elijah is going to be able to take over his brother's rooms. We'll have to see what happens during the next episode of my Let's Play. Oh, another mini story times for you guys. I thought I saw a alien spacecraft the other day. Here is an artistic rendition of what I saw. It was like really early in the morning. Sometimes I work openings at work, and that requires me to be on my way to work at like 5 in the morning. I was just about to get to work when I looked up into the sky and saw this triangular shaped craft in the sky, right? Like, and it genuinely looked like a huge triangle. And I was like shocked, right? So I very quickly debunked what it was. I went over on flight radar, and it was actually like a delivery aircraft, like going in for a landing into the nearby airport. But, like, genuinely, it looked like a huge triangle in the sky. I thought I was gonna have, like, a viral moment where I captured an actual UFO, or, like, whatever they call them now. But it was definitely identifiable. Now it's gonna make me skeptical of every, like, supposed UAP or UFO moment captured on video, because, like, it looked like a huge triangle in the sky, and that's what a lot of, like, UFO videos are, and I had my own experience, and it was literally just a plane. Like, I thought I was gonna have my Phoenix Lights moment, like, right there in, like, the middle of nowhere, New Brunswick, but I was not having that moment. So I'm not sure what my next speed build is gonna be. I'm kind of thinking I might make a castle in The Sims 2. For one, I know people are searching Sims Castle on YouTube right now. I feel like it'd be a smart decision to do. And secondly, I'd never made a castle before, so I feel like it would be fun. But I also don't want to just like build something and not use it, you know? And I'm not really playing a historical challenge right now, so like I don't know, like maybe I could like build a castle and then potentially use it in the future. I do kind of want to eventually do some historical gameplay, because I find historical gameplay, specifically in The Sims 2, really interesting to watch. Like, I've seen people stream the historical challenge, and they basically have a mod that has an ogre in it that like takes away your Sims babies, and I don't know, I want that in my game. I like that's my main motivation to play a historical challenge right now. I feel like it'd be funny. Then again, it kind of upset me when my Sim got taken away by a social worker, but I don't know. I feel like just a funny little green guy or big green guy taking away my kids is a better experience than a social worker taking away my kids. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I don't know. I feel like it'd be a fun challenge to do, you know? But if I were to do a historical challenge, I think I would, like, do the test of time challenge, except, like, I don't know. I have a weird, like, relationship with the test of time challenge, because I was looking at the rules, I was, like, kind of vibing with them, and then, like, I got to, one of the generations, and it was, like, your Sim is gonna own slaves. And I get that slavery is a part of history, but, like, do I really want to simulate that? I don't think I do. Like, I'm okay with, like, simulating my Sim dying in war or whatever, or, like, simulating, you know, things not necessarily going well when Sims give birth. Like, that's fine for me personally, but I kind of draw the line when it comes to slavery. I don't really want that to be a thing in my game. Call me crazy. So I don't know, like, maybe I could do the test of time challenge, but kind of like edit the rules. Yeah, it's something I want to do in the future. It's on my Sims bucket list. And I actually do have, like, a list of things in my head that I want to get done on every Sims game, like a Sims bucket list. Like, I want to eventually have a 12-generation legacy family in The Sims 2, Sims 3, and The Sims 4. I'm working towards that with the Elmleys. I'm really hoping we get there. I want to start a new Build a City challenge soon in The Sims 2. I want to maybe eventually, probably not create the terrain for the world, but I eventually want to find a good terrain in The Sims 3 and populate the terrain or world with lots in Sims. I feel like that'd be fun. Kind of like creating a base save file for me in The Sims 3. And speaking of base save files, I want to do that with The Sims 4. Specifically with The Sims 4, I keep thinking that I want to, like, kind of work on that in secret and then, like, drop a surprise, hey guys, I made you a save file for The Sims 4 thing, like I'm Beyonce or something. I'm not Beyonce. I don't think that many people would be excited about it, but, like, I keep having that idea in the back of my mind that I'll do it, so maybe eventually it will happen, who knows? But I feel like that's the magic of The Sims. Like, The Sims is what you make it. If you keep doing the same thing in The Sims, like, you're gonna probably get a little bored, but if you switch things up and, like, you know, think of unique, different little challenges you can do in your game, I feel like you can keep yourself entertained for a while. I mean, I've been keeping myself entertained since I first started playing The Sims in, like, 2005, 2006. Anyway, we are decorating the upstairs portion of the build now. Yeah, I'm actually talking about the build. That's pretty incredible, I know. I thought it was going to take me longer to decorate the space than it did, so I was, like, kind of putting it off. I did this build in, like, 2 play sessions, and I thought it was going to be, like, a, like, 2-hour process to do the upstairs, which sounds silly now that I'm saying it out loud, but it only took me, like, 20 minutes to decorate all the bedrooms and the upstairs, so I guess I was just being a little bit of a procrastinator. That tends to happen a lot with me. That's just who I am. I've learned to love and accept that long ago. But I didn't end up doing anything with the backyard for this build because I ran out of money and I did not want to take out another loan. I already went a little crazy with the first loan, and I don't want my Sims to be, like, too in debt, you know? But yeah, I was sort of even procrastinating this voiceover. Like, I did this voiceover in, like, 2 or 3 sessions, and I feel like it's kind of, like, all over the place, but most of my voiceovers are, so I don't know why I'm pointing that out. I was kind of struggling to figure out things to talk about during the speed build, because I feel like not a lot of interesting things have been happening to me lately. But I am not complaining about the lack of interesting things, because sometimes you just need a period in your life where not a lot of things are happening. Like, genuinely, I think people need to relax more. Like, we are pushed to, like, work and, like, you know, get out there all the time, which is good sometimes, but, like, sometimes you just need a nice, chill couple months, you know? Like, we need, like, a reset. But also, when you're trying to post, like, speed builds on YouTube, like, you want things to talk about, especially if you're a person like me who doesn't necessarily want to talk about the build all the time. Like, I cannot offer you a lot of commentary when it comes to my builds. I feel like some people are good at being like, oh, I put this chair here because I feel like it matches the painting on the wall, and, like, some people can do that and have interesting speed builds, but it doesn't sound natural coming from me, you know? Like, I too place things because I think they look good next to things, but I don't want to sit there and, like, repeat myself saying, like, hey, like, I placed this here because I think it looks good. Like, the whole speed build, like, I wouldn't be posting the speed build if I didn't think it looked good. So you get my random stories and stuff instead. But, like, I don't know, I've been struggling to try to find things to talk about. Maybe life will start to get a little bit more interesting in February. We will see. And I just wanted to clarify that I am not digging at creators at all who mainly talk about the build. In fact, I see the appeal of it. Like, I watch creators who mostly talk about the build sometimes. I think it's really relaxing and I like that style of content. I'm just saying it's not my style, like, of content in particular. Like, I am so, like, I don't want to use the word chaotic. I can be chaotic sometimes, but, like, I don't think me talking about the build like I'm, like, some sort of interior designer who knows what she's doing is authentically me, you know? And I want to be authentic on this channel, so I want to talk about, like, random things in my speed builds, and that's what I'm gonna do. But anyway, we are getting towards the end of the build now. Like I said, this build specifically will not be on my Patreon up for download, but I do have other builds up for download on my Patreon if that is of any interest to you. If you haven't watched my Legacy family yet, I have a playlist of that Let's Play on my YouTube channel. So if you want to check that out, definitely do that. I appreciate the love my last episode has been getting. It's been getting a lot of engagement, and I'm happy about that. Last episode was actually a doozy. I mean, like, I explained it here, but like, I still think it's worth a watch because it was kind of dramatic. But anyway, we are getting towards the end of the video now. If you guys liked it, please give it a like. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already.